Okay, this is number 227. It's called Summer Trees, and it's by Sang Soo Nam, a Korean artist. It dates from 1983, and it is ink on paper, and it's approximately 2 feet by 3 feet. Before we talk about this piece in particular, we need to talk about the artist and the historical background of the artist. First of all, to refer to Korea, we're referring to South Korea. Just to give you guys some background that you already know, but just to remind you, Korea was annexed in 1910 by Japan, and it was controlled by them until 1945. At that point, the Western Allies and the Soviet Union took control of the peninsula nation at the end of the war. And then Korea was then divided up into two nations, one that's going to be influenced by the Soviet Union and later China, and the South is going to be influenced by the Western world and the United States. So we have the Democratic People's Republic of Korea, which is North Korea, and then the Republic of Korea, which is South Korea. This happened in 1948. Since 1948, South Korea has emerged as a fully industrialized nation, and its artists have had a wide exposure to art styles from around the globe. And although that they've had this experience, many Korean artists try to continue to work in the traditional East Asian manner. Some have embraced developments in contemporary Europe and America, but Sang Soo Nam is one of the leaders of the Oriental Ink movement that's called Sumukwa. It's spelled Sumukhwa. That occurred in the 1980s. It was based out of Hongik University in Seoul, Korea, and that's spelled Hongik. This movement shared the general feeling that it was necessary to recover a national identity, to begin to concentrate on the subtle tonal variations of ink wash in an attempt to elicit an inner spirituality which was felt to have been lost in the modern age, especially with technology. He also chose to use ink on paper, the preferred medium of the East Asian literati. Ink painting is a traditional form of artist expression in Korea, and this movement revitalizes ink painting in a modern context. The literatus, Literatus, can be defined as the scholar poet or scholar artist, a type of ideal man that emerged in China in the 11th century or before. Remember, Korea is heavily influenced by Chinese art. We saw that with our Korean piece that we did before in our Asian unit. And Chinese poetry is going to have a big impact. It's considered the most noblest art, and it goes hand in hand with ink wash painting. It's considered its twin because writing a poem and making a painting use the same tools and techniques. The poem resulted in words, and the painting resulted in a picture. In their simplicity and reductiveness, this style of ink wash paintings, created centuries ago, often seem to match Western notions of abstraction. So for Sang Soo Nam, his Summer Trees owes a great deal to the past, but also to the post-painterly abstraction movement in the United States. Instead of using acrylic resin on canvas, Sang uses ink on paper, which was the preferred medium of the historical East Asian literati. He incorporated abstract expressionist ideals and included them with traditional Korean and Chinese landscapes. He abandoned the traditional emphasis on brushstrokes to explore the subtle tonal variations that broad stretches of ink wash made possible. He is referencing the traditional Korean art that used an East Asian style, the vocabulary of traditional motifs, the use of what's called landscape, which we see in the title, and the medium of ink for calligraphy and painting. Song felt very strongly that the materials and styles of Western art did not express his identity as a Korean, In Song Sunam's Summer Trees, broad vertical parallel brushstrokes of ink blend and bleed from one to the other in a stark palette of velvety blacks and diluted grays. The forms overlap and stop just short of the bottom edge of the paper, suggesting a sense of shallow space, though one that would be difficult to enter. Only a practiced hand could control ink with such simplicity and have such an impact. Song's exploration of tone, or the many shades of black and gray, and the effects produced by the marks of the brush, the wet paper, and the dripping ink has led some to think that these abstract formal qualities are the real subject of this very modern looking work. It's important that the title refers to the natural world and Korean artistic traditions, and that is really significant despite all the modern changes South Korea has been through since the end of World War II.